Hello everyone, I'm Rick, and this is Two Brothers Outdoors. If this is the first time you're tuning into our channel, hit that subscription button. We are two brothers. Obviously, we're a little older, but what we do is we have videos on logging our property, bring those logs out to our sawmills. We turn those logs into lumber. We turn those logs into things that crafters like to use. So it's kind of interesting. We also do fly fishing and we do some hunting. So hit that subscription button, join us, and come watch some of our videos. Today, I was going to take a couple more of these little short logs right here that we salvaged from the log dump and cut them into some wide boards. We've been selling those pretty good. We got 7 of those to start with, and we ended up with 2 left. They're really wide, they're only short, but I call them instant coffee tables. A lot of people buy them, make short breakfast bars and stuff with them. Really nice pieces of wood. Log that I'm sitting on also came out of the stump dump. This is a yellow birch. This is a pretty good size log. This is 26 inches on the small end. Don't know what we're going to saw it into yet, but we're kind of saving it for a little while. You can see the end of it's white. That's because it's been sealed. All right, guys, so early this morning we had one of our favorite customers, John, come pick up a hard maple log. He takes and buys logs, takes them home, breaks them down into strands of wood, and he builds Windsor chairs. And I tell you, he's quite the craftsman. I think he's 80 years old. And it's just unbelievable the things he builds out of the logs he buys from us. All right, guys, so today I was going to give you a tour of the place and show you some of the things we do, but unfortunately something's come up. Today I got to take a piece of oak and cut it up into slabs. I have to extend the gate that I put up to keep one of our dogs out of the den. When we leave, he gets separation anxiety, and I put a gate up to keep him out of the den because he gets up there and he starts clawing and pawing and stuff, and he just makes a mess. So we put the new gate up last week, and last night we come home, he jumped over the gate, made a mess. So now I'm going to have to extend the gate higher so he can't jump over it. So I'm going to take a piece of oak we have in the shed here, turn it into slats. So come on along with me and watch and see what we do. Okay, so if this is the first time you've been with us, the reason there's only one brother doing this video is because the other brother's working and this brother's retired. All right, guys, this is our four-wheeler, one of them. We do most of our logging with the four-wheeler and a log arch. We have 2 of these log arches. We built these arches, and what they do is they'll pick up as a log as long as 12 foot, 14 feet, completely off the ground, so that we get no dirt on the log. No dirt on the log means our blades last longer on the sawmill. All right, so moving on around here, this is our wood rack. It looks kind of messy right now. What we do is all the offcuts that we have on our logs, when we're sawing them with the sawmill, put the offcuts here. When that rack gets full, which it is right now, take a chainsaw, cut it up into 18-inch lengths. It falls on the ground like this. When we get a couple of truckloads, we have a guy we call. He will come and pick this up and pay us per truckload. Works out pretty well for us and gets rid of all our scrap. Makes good firewood though. We have 2 racks and we have 2 sawmills. All right, so this is a shed that we keep our extra wood in. I got a tarp across there. That's so the sun doesn't shine on the wood. When the sun shines on wood, it has a tendency to split. This is a sawmill building, and we go inside here, and what we do here is we'll pre-stage wood before we put it away into another building once it comes off the mill. I did have a pile of maple here. John, that gentleman we talked about earlier, one of our favorite customers, we did saw a pile of maple for him. He took that as well. And these are some wide pine that we milled Saturday. These will be sold for breakfast bars. Sometimes people will buy them and they'll cut one edge off and make tables out of them. This stuff sells pretty fast, and because these logs come out of the stump dump, we can pass that savings on to our customers. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of oak we have right here. This is the last piece of oak that we have left, and I'm going to dog it down in the sawmill and cut it into strips, run it through the planer, and add it to the gate. Now this is my sawmill. This is a Hud-son HFE 30. This mill is highly modified. I've had this mill for 5 years now, almost 5 years. I bought it in January of 2020. This is the third engine that has been on this mill. That's how much wood this mill has sawn. I'm thinking this mill has probably sawn upwards of 500,000 board feet. Our other mill, my brother bought the Oscar 30, which is an actual commercial mill. And believe it or not, as I modified this, it just about ended up being the same as the Oscar. All right, so we're going to put that board on the mill, and we're going to cut it up into strips, see how many we can get, and we're going to take those strips, put them through the planer, and end up modifying the gate. Boy, that is one heavy board right there. This is 2 inches thick, solid oak. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm going to clamp this piece of oak onto the mill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the mill, and I'm going to cut this into 1 inch thick strips, just like this, until I get down to about here, and then we'll flip it over and continue doing that from the other side. We'll take those strips and run them through the planer, make them nice and smooth. So what I'm doing right now is, this is a torque wrench, and I'm tensioning the blade. That click means that it's reached 35 foot-pounds. Tension the blade so that it's tight, but you don't want to over tighten it. If you over tighten it, it'll prematurely break the blade. It'll prematurely wear out the tires on your band wheels, which is a rubber belt that goes in there. That's just not good for the mill. If you don't tighten it up enough, when you start cutting, the blade won't stay straight. It'll move like this, and it'll leave waves in the wood. Okay, so I'm going to put on my earmuffs, and I'm going to shut the mic off because otherwise it's going to get very noisy for you guys. And we're going to saw this into strips. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm adjusting the coolant drip. It comes out of this big jug up here, goes down a tube, and it drips on the blade down there. What it does is it keeps the blade cool, keeps sawdust from building up on the blade and pitch and stuff like that. There's a scale in the mill right here. It's marked 4/4, 5/4, 6/4, 8/4, and then it has a regular ruler on it. It allows me to cut accurately, so each board can be the same size. So I'm cutting on the first 4/4 of the scale. That will go just below the bark to take this bark edge off, and then we'll start cutting out usable strips. When you take a log and put it on a mill, cut it into boards, you get what they call rough sawn lumber. You can see it's not smooth. It's straight, it's accurate. This is actually 1 inch by 2 inches thick, but it is not smooth and it is rough. This is known as rough sawn lumber. The next thing we do, we'll turn this into finished lumber. All right, guys, if you have any questions about a sawmill or any questions about how to run a sawmill or where you can purchase a sawmill, feel free to drop it down there in our comment section. We try to answer all of our comments. Okay, guys, I don't want to bore you with all the details, but I knew what dimensions I needed, so I took the very best ones of the oak strips and I cut them to length. But they're still rough. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to smooth them out. This is a portable planer. Of course, you can see that right here. If you're not familiar with woodworking, this is a small one, a cheapy model. But what this does is it takes wood that's rough sawn, turns it into finished wood, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so what I've done, I took all the pieces of wood and I ran them through the planer like this, ran it through a second time, and then brought the planer down, turned the pieces of wood over, ran it through again, and what you end up with, instead of a surface like this, you end up with a nice smooth surface like this. Alright, we're going to repeat this process, but now we're going to put the wood through this way. What that does is not only does it make the wood surface smooth, but it also makes all these pieces of wood the same exact size. Alright guys, so what I ended up with, I ran the wood through this way, this way, this way, and then this way. Every piece, one right after another. What you end up with is wood that is the exact same size all the way around. Now that's called dimensional lumber. The only parts that you didn't see in this process was us taking the tree down and bringing the log out. And of course, the wood has to be dried before you use it. That's why I chose that piece of oak that's been in there for about 8 months out of the weather, and it was really dry. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to come along on our next video, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscription button and the notifications bell so that when we have a new video comes out, it'll notify you and let you know, hey, Two Brothers has got a video out. Alright guys, thanks for coming along. I'm going to go finish this gate. And until the next one, we will catch you later.